In a time where games are focused around pushing engines to their fullest extent rather than the quality of the game itself, games can oftentimes feel soulless. Especially with the constant barrage of horrible decisions enacted by the creators, we tend to forget about a time where gaming used to be simpler. There are those who just let this previous time sink into irrelevancy. But then, there are those who bring it back. Rush Cyberfunk feels like a game directly imported from the past and released into the now present future. The way this game takes on the stylistic look of games from the Y2K era, if I ran a few filters and crunched down on the quality a bit, you'd think it'd release straight from the PS2. This game will genuinely pull you out of the current generation of video games and take you back to a time where resources were limited but simple. The menus, the music, heck, even the tonality when it comes down to the graffiti art form. There's a lot that really put this into perspective to me, and I want to take the time to share my thoughts with you. I will say that if you are considering on playing this game for yourself, please go ahead and play the game first, then come back to the video. Trust me, you will not regret it. Let me be clear here. I usually have an amazing reason for going into games, but for this one, I admit to be just a little bit odd. And then I was on the title screen. When I was younger, I had played a game that this game gets compared to consistently just by its pure nature or style, Jet Set Radio. I can't accept the fact that I know it because I remember almost nothing but the style of it. It's kind of like that person that you always recognize but never knew the name of. So, the majority of everything I'm saying is coming from the perspective of someone who thought the game reminded them of it. Anyways, let me give you the rundown. The story of Rush Cyberfunk goes a little something like this. In BRC, graffiti is everything. Writers are one of the things that dominates the city, each borough with their own gangs, wrapping streets with their iconic sprays. Every gang has their differences in their looks and styles, but all of their motives lead to the same goal: to become the best writer by taking all city. Your story takes place as Red, who is a graffiti writer that got his head chopped off. But luckily, in the futuristic world you live in, things can be replaced with the power of technology. But being equipped with the Cyberhead not only takes away a part of your humanity, but also quite a bit of your memories. So, in search of learning the roots of your body, you join the Bomb Rush crew, a startup cypher looking to take on the challenge of going all city. And while the goal seems misaligned for your mission, your roots are shown to be more engraved in the graffiti world than you can ever imagine. And while I'd love to talk more about the story itself, I'd rather let you find out about it at your own discretion. What I'd rather talk about is how this game made me miss when games were simpler. In a time where games are getting progressively realistic and mechanically challenging, you wouldn't realize that it sacrifices an age of time that was based around simplicity and style. I can't imagine I've seen that many games in this time that I would describe as cartoonish in a sense by the game's rigid shapes, bright colors, and once again, style. This game genuinely feels so stylistically old. If I ran a filter on it and crunched down on the quality, you'd have to believe that this game was born from a PS2. I believe that there's a lot of technique involved to properly replicate this feeling of age in this, well, current age. The way the hands only move at the wrist, as animating the hands and fingers were mostly time-consuming and unimportant. The replicated copies of henchmen and women to give that sense of reusing assets to save time and resources. Heck, even the personalities of the characters and their dance styles feels dated with the time too. It's the stuff like this that sells it and gives me a very bright sense of nostalgia. Games nowadays have to fit some kind of standard, but back then it used to be simpler. There's not many times where I catch myself playing a game just for dumb fun like when I was a kid. I beat this game within 10 hours and I'm still currently building up more because I genuinely enjoyed this game. And I truly believe that this is one of the strongest points that I have. I didn't think like this immediately though. My expectations were a bit different when I first started the game. In short, the entire game will be beaten with practically 3 buttons. There's no specialized tricks or combos to nail down and learn. It's literally only 3 moves that you can make. This initially took me by surprise and I honestly considered dropping it due to its lack of complexity. But given it more time, it made sense. This game wasn't meant to have you look at the menu telling you to do the specific combo for this number of points. It's literally just meant to get you to experience the game sooner. Complexity would turn heads away while simplicity maintains it. Of course, this game adds mechanics to extend the systems further, but it doesn't reach a point where you don't understand what you're doing anymore. This is what allows anyone to be able to complete a game more smoothly rather than having these pitfalls of failing to slow you down. And the story isn't even anything all that special, but just because I say that doesn't mean that I didn't have tons of fun along the way. Piecing together and seeing how the game progressed truly did bring dumb fun excitement to my once small kid brain. It's a lot that this game does that I genuinely love, and the other thing that supports it is the music that they've curated for their game. The music will immerse you into a different era. There are many times where I've just been skating around the city or even just chilling at home base, grinding around listening to the music. It was so captivating, it literally felt like I was back in 2000X. And even when some of the tracks doesn't take back in time, it truly does always fit a mood that feels particularly right for the game. There's a lot of things in current day music that I don't really resonate with, but it's not like I don't recognize how much it has progressed. With the streaming services we use such as Spotify and others, you can pick and choose any artist's songs and listen to them at your own choice. But back then it wasn't like that. You had to use cassette tapes, CDs, vinyls, a whole lot of stuff that could physically lose value over time. And as the power of the internet progressed, it really did. Cassette tapes, irrelevant. CDs, irrelevant. Vinyls, I think those are still relevant within indie games. You'd have to curate these music mixtapes yourself, and as far as my knowledge goes, it definitely wasn't as easy as it is today. Simple stuff like skipping songs wasn't as easy, and the reason I bring this up in particular is because in-game, you can't skip the music. In-game, you are given one singular mixtape for you to listen to as you play, but the thing is, you cannot skip any of the songs. You were legitimately forced to listen to every song in that mixtape, even if you dislike a particular song up there. It's so special to me because it alludes back to the realistic factor of previous technology. I wanted to hear a specific song that I heard earlier in the game, but when I realized I could only stop the music, I learned quickly that I would have to experience the music by listening and playing the game as intended. The feeling always left me with the sensation of enjoying the songs I've heard a lot more because I couldn't just throw the song I liked on repeat. Songs lose their effect when you start listening to them on repeat, because instead of it being music, at a certain point it just becomes background noise for the game, and that would absolutely completely ruin the experience. Hearing your favorite tracks becomes all the more special because of how they're spaced out, and I 100% believe that this was the right decision. We tend to love the things that we don't get to experience an awful lot more than the things that we constantly do, and the game does an exceptional job with that. Overall, my takeaway from Rush Cyberfunk is that this is one of the most exceptional games that I have played this year. It is something that I can truly say is worthy of your time. For the many people out there hoping for a JSR release or people looking to play something resembling of the past, I would 100% recommend you to get your hands on this game. People looking to detox from the realism, competitiveness, or the predatory games that currently exist in the current hemisphere, this will forever be one of my recommendations. This game will either put you in a past long forgotten or a time period completely unknown to you, which is a complete wild thing to say. It is the oldest a new game could ever feel, and is genuinely one of my favorite games of this year. With the iconic stylistic Y2K look, the small details in replicating the nostalgia from the PS2 days, the music tying it all together with a funky story that will definitely capture your attention. This game is truly worth your time. This was my take on Rush Cyberfunk. If you enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing. If you had any thoughts about anything I've brought up or just want to share your own thoughts about the game yourself, feel free to do so in the comment section below. Anyways, it's been real. You are now leaving CyKer's world. See you on your next visit.